cases, I try to go below.
Dave and his staff helps you save up to 40% on your grocery bill every day at your locally owned Clinton Save-A-Lot. And as Dave always says,
hope to see you soon.
If the flu's got you down, the Warner Hospital and Health Services walk-in clinic can help you feel better fast. CEO Paul Skowron inviting you to make us your backup plan to better health. Find out more by clicking our icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
DeWittDailyNews.com is the area's leading local news source 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Get the latest local news, obituaries, police splatter, weather forecast, and more with no paywall. Head to DeWittDailyNews.com to get the local information you need to know.
From the Hart Media Group newsroom and DeWittDailyNews.com, I'm Ben Hubbard with this expanded morning newscast. Good morning, and thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Ben Hubbard. You're listening to the WHOW Morning Show. Superintendents around the state of Illinois were recently informed that cuts to funding for things like transportation and special education are coming. Heyworth School Superintendent Dr. Lisa Taylor explains that mandated categoricals were already underfunded and that the recent announcement of further cuts to that funding only adds to the financial struggle districts are feeling with already increasing costs.
It's one of those that no additional money, it was already underfunded previously, and then no additional money in the state budget has been going there and will go there. So as your costs are going up, right, because nobody's transportation costs have gone down. In fact, most contracts have gone up over 10% or so. And then you have that same pool of money for districts. We're just hitting a bigger and bigger deficit in that fund. We just transferred $300,000 from our working cash, which is basically your savings, to transportation just to have a tiny cushion in there. So long term, we're looking at a lot of solutions districts are. It doesn't sound like we should expect any money in there anytime soon. We have the same sort of issues in special ed. That's a mandated categorical in kind of those costs that these are things we're required to do, right? You're required to bus within a certain distance, but the state isn't funding it. So it's just one of those, you try to explain it to the board every year, right? And you estimate transportation, but with fuel prices in recent years, and of course, transportation companies' costs have gone up too, with buses, with staffing, with benefits, right? We're all paying more, and we're just going to get less.
Dr. Taylor states that they, like many districts, have had to transfer money from their working cash fund to make up for the cuts. She adds that they may have to eliminate some busing routes, even though they already tax levy the most they can for transportation.
Yeah, for us, we had to transfer funds for this year, and we have been doing our annual evaluation of safety hazard areas. So those are kind of areas approved by school boards and submitted to IDOT when it's unsafe for kids. And so some of those neighborhoods where the hazards were created, the village has started pouring some sidewalks. So if we have a safe walking route, we will potentially eliminate some busing next year, and that could save you $40,000 to $50,000 per bus. However, I have a new area that's probably going to need a hazard. So we're doing the best we can, but there's not a lot. We do bid out our transportation. We don't have our own here. We bid with Bloomington School District, and we have great transportation service. It just costs more. And so we levy the max we can with transportation, which is a 20-cent levy. So there's really no other way to draw funds to that. And we can't use sales tax funds for that, right? So we'll have to continue to take it from savings or another fund.
The superintendent shares frustration over the growing number of requirements coming from Springfield, while funding for those requirements is still nowhere to be seen.
Yeah, it would be nice if anytime you require something, there's a funding source for it, right? I mean, that's the biggest struggle is when you see these new policies and, legislation passed and it comes and you're always like, are there any dollars attached to this? And how many kids can ride in a bus and, adding safety belts on buses every time I understand why they're needed. School buses are one of the safest modes of transportation. I understand why they're needed, but they require the belts, right? The busing company is going to pass that cost on. They have to, right? And so we just keep seeing annual increases and, doing the best we can. you can't just keep adding and not expect there to be any cost with that. So, and there's really no flexibility. Transportation is very rigid and parents depend on it, right? Everybody has jobs and, daycares have a lot of kids there. And so it's one of those things, we have to get kids to school for them to learn. And so we're just going to keep looking for ways to, be as efficient as we can.
Cuts to mandated categoricals will not just affect transportation. Dr. Taylor indicates that food services will also be taking a hit. She adds that this category already runs at a deficit, and if they lose even more funding, they will have to make up for it through the education fund.
Yeah, and our food service audit is this year too. So that's one of those things where they come in and tell you, these are the 50 things that you missed that you are supposed to be compliant on. And so I just attended a workshop in Springfield for that. But food service runs at a deficit every year, right? You're restricted with the amount you can charge families. You have to have an annual increase of 10 cents. Or the district has to pick it up, which we've been doing because our food service prices, they have all these calculators that you have to run and it's based on where you live, but our food service prices are high. It's $4-ish for a school lunch, and add that into, $20 a week. If I have 3 or 4 kids, this adds up too. And so if we take more cuts there, we will just have to take them. That comes out of the education fund. So it does impact you, but it is one of those things, you can't, there's no way you can make as much money. It's not a profit running business.
A little over 20% of Heyworth students receive free lunches. Dr. Taylor feels that she is lucky to be a part of a giving community that is participating in the ongoing battle against food insecurity. However, they cannot be expected to fund that entirely. Keep it to the Heart Media Group in the weeks ahead as we hear from more area superintendents and get their reactions to funding cuts to mandated categoricals from the state of Illinois. Learn more about Heyworth schools by visiting husd4.org or by finding them on Facebook. Get news anytime from your computer or your mobile device, all free, all the time at DeWittDailyNews.com.
Good health starts with knowing where you stand. At SIU Center for Family Medicine in Lincoln, your annual wellness appointment is more than a checkup. It's your chance to talk with your doctor, set goals, and catch health concerns early. Our team is here to keep you moving forward every step of the way. Book your annual appointment today by clicking their icon at DeWittDailyNews.com. SIU Medicine. Better health for all. Forward for you.
Our local hospitals are the heartbeat of our communities, delivering critical care every hour of every day for everyone, training the next generation of caregivers. Beyond the walls, their benefit to the community is everywhere, driving the local economy and supporting local organizations, initiatives, and neighbors. Illinois Hospitals, healing communities. Learn more at team-iha.org. Sponsored by the Illinois Health and Hospital Association. Aired in cooperation with the Illinois Broadcasters Association and this station.
From the Heart Media Group Sports Desk, IL Sports Wire, and DeWittDailyNews.com, I'm Ben Hubbard with this local sports report. The Clinton Maroons boys cross-country team and girls runner Aubrey Peterson will be competing in Saturday's state cross-country meet in Peoria. Coach Rachel Anderson-Lyons is proud of the way her teams rose to the occasion last Saturday at a tough sectional in Elmwood that had multiple top 10 teams in Class 1A running.
Our sectional meet was absolutely electric. We are up at Elmwood. It is on a golf course, but it is rolling hills, very quintessential cross country. The weather was absolutely perfect, crisp and clear, and the fall colors just made it like a gorgeous sight to see. And the energy was really high because we are in a really, really deep sectional in the state on both the boys and girls side. The meet boasted 9 of the top 25 ranked teams in the state, which is just insane depth, especially when only 6 teams on each side get to advance to state. So it was a very high energy environment, and our athletes really rose to the challenge.
Coach Anderson-Lyons says Peterson carried a lot of momentum from the last few weeks into qualifying out of the sectional for state as an individual.
So Aubrey has had a really outstanding last couple of weeks in both practice and in races. Everything's been coming together for her, and she's been racing with so much confidence. She finished 11th overall at sectionals, again, a very deep sectional, and she was only projected to be 22nd based on the season results and season ranking. So she exceptionally rose to the challenge to qualify individually and raced her season best time of 18:21 to secure her ticket to state.
The boys qualified on Saturday with a very balanced finish. Coach Anderson-Lyons notes only 18 seconds separated their highest finishing runner and their last runner.
So Caden Bostic was all sectional. He finished 5th overall. All our boys who raced there last year, so we had 5 of our 7 who raced there last year. Every single one of them ran a course PR. So everybody's running faster than they did last year. What I think was super notable for our team, and it speaks to, the depth of our team, is our 7 runner was the fastest 7th runner of any team there by 40 seconds. So that is so substantial. And our 2 through 7 actually finished within 18 seconds of each other. It was pretty wild to see them all coming in together, super exciting and super fun. So I'm just super proud of these boys and how hard they've worked and how they've made each other better.
In preparation for Saturday's state meet, Coach Anderson-Lyons indicates her team remains committed to each other, including one of her senior runners who is helping Peterson in her preparation.
Yeah, I'm so glad you asked that, Seth. Actually, this time of year, practice is still open to anyone who is available to still come. Now, we lose a lot of our kids because winter sports are starting. So girls basketball is starting, wrestling starting. So those athletes that are transitioning into their own winter sport have, moved on to their own winter sport. We've had several athletes still be coming to practice, whether to keep improving their own fitness or if it is really, truly motivated by trying to help the team be better and be at their best for state. And I would actually like to highlight one particular athlete, a senior, Miguel Mendoza. He is so selfless, and he has been coming to practice with the sole purpose of being Aubrey's training partner. So he runs her exact prescribed pace. He will talk to her. He will encourage her. He is just been absolutely outstanding and literally essential in her postseason, progress and her belief in herself. So he has been invaluable to us.
The boys runners and Peterson will compete Saturday at Detweiler Park in Peoria. Monticello will put a 5-game win streak on the line Saturday when the Sages travel to Tolono Unity for second-round high school football Class 3A postseason action. The 8-2 Sages knocked off Paris 48-16 last Saturday en route to a first-round win at Monticello. Coach Cully Welter says 2 turnovers on its first 2 possessions Saturday certainly gave him cause for concern early, but his team settled down and scored the next 34 points to run away with the win.
Yeah, definitely couldn't have asked for a worse start. Was a bit concerning, particularly when they had the ball, a chance to go up 2 scores, and a real credit to our defense for standing tough there and kind of turned the tide, and then offense clicked the next series, and we kind of got rolling. So, as you said, credit to the kids for hanging in there, because they didn't let the initial onslaught overwhelm them. No, I really felt like we were ready coming out of the locker room. I didn't anticipate a lull by any means. I just think we made a couple mistakes, to be honest with you. Some mistakes that we've had throughout the year, we that we had to overcome, and fortunately we did. We didn't let them steamroll on us, which can happen, and it can happen to an inexperienced team. So I give them a lot of credit for that. But yeah, I just think we made some mistakes that put us in a hole, but we were able to come out of it.
Tolono Unity beat Monticello 34-7 in week 2 of the regular season. Coach Welter says while his team is certainly much better from week 2 to week 11, so too are the Rockets.
Yeah, their passing game is pretty elite right now. They were good back then. Obviously, they have a 3-year starting quarterback, and Hogarth's an outstanding receiver, and they've added the Henry kid as a viable threat as well. The receivers are making some really good catches, and Dane's putting it on the money. So they definitely look good and efficient. Big play with the passing game, and then of course they always still have that running game, and Eckstein's been really good for them this year, and they have a big offensive line. So yeah, they're throwing the ball around, but they still have that running game, so they're very balanced and difficult to defend. I would say their defense is continuing to improve. They don't do a lot defensively. They just try to improve themselves technique wise, and yeah, I can definitely Mount Carmel did run the ball on them a little bit, but again, that game was 42-0 after the first quarter, so you don't know how engaged they were at that point. But yeah, defense is just solid. They don't do anything special. They're just really good at what they do.
That vaunted Unity defense will be tough for a Sages offense that has been prolific at times, and while they've put up points, they've also struggled at points. Coach Welter says they're going to have to run the ball effectively to open up the passing game.
Well, always the issue with us against Unity is they're going to give us a 5-man box. They're going to challenge us to try and run against that, and if we can't, it makes it difficult because that allows them to drop a bunch of people in the passing lanes, play soft coverage over the top, and just make us work really hard to move the ball. So that's always been the challenge for us. They kind of dare us, and if we can run the ball, mix it up, and force them to at least put somebody else in the box, that's going to open up other things. So that'll be the biggest thing for us offensively. Well, we do a really good job of spilling the ball. That one thing that Unity likes to do is run power and counter gap scheme type stuff, and that's our forte defensively is to be aggressive and really kind of try to blow those things up. So we're going to have to continue to do that, force the ball to spill outside and run to it and make plays. And then we're just going to have to be solid defensively. They're going to get plays in the passing game if we can avoid the big play. Make them move the ball, move the chains. That's going to give us a chance. And they did a lot of quick screens against us earlier in the year that were successful. I haven't seen as much on film, but I'm imagining they're going to come back with that.
While the Sages' 8 wins this year is a surprise to many, Coach Welter feels they are playing with house money on Saturday and is looking forward to the challenge the Rockets will pose. Monticello knocked off Unity in the 3A semifinals last season in Monticello and returns most of that team. The Rockets finished the regular season 8-1 overall and beat Mount Carmel last Saturday 42-14. Game time Saturday is 2 p.m. Hear all the action on 95.9 FM WEZC and online at DeWittDailyNews.com. Be sure to follow IL Sports Wire on your preferred social media platforms for highlights of Saturday's action after the game. In Class 3A second-round action, Monmouth Roseville goes to Bloomington Central Catholic Saturday at 1. Williamsville's hosting Petersburg Porta Saturday at 1. And Saturday at 2, St. Joseph Ogden goes to Roxana. In Class 1A, Saturday at 2, Heyworth hosts Stockton. 10-0 Kewanee Weathersfield is going to DMAC Saturday at 3. Lena Winslow is hosting Gibson City Melvin Sibley Saturday at 2. In Class 2A second-round action, Taylor Ridge Rock Ridge is going to Tri-Valley Saturday at 2. Saturday at 5, El Paso Gridley hosts Newman Central Catholic. Johnston City goes to Maroa Forsyth Saturday at 2. Toledo Cumberland at Arthur Lovington Atwood Saturday at 1. In Class 4A second-round action, Saturday at 3, Peoria Notre Dame hosting Lombard Montini. Metamora goes to Morris Saturday at 3. Cahokia is hosting Jacksonville Saturday at 2. Carterville at Springfield Sacred Heart Griffin Saturday at 1:30. And Friday at 7 p.m., Waterloo hosts Rochester. In Class 5A, Mahomet Seymour goes to Washington Saturday at 2. Oak Forest hosting Bloomington Saturday at 2. And Saturday at 7 p.m., Peoria goes to Morton. In Class 6A, second round action, East St. Louis at Chatham Glenwood Saturday at 2. Chicago Simeon hosting Normal West Saturday at 1. Dunlap goes to Crete Monet at Saturday at 2. Number 16 ranked Illinois State begins a 2-game road swing this weekend in Terre Haute, Indiana, against Indiana State. The Sycamores are coming off a big road win over number 4 South Dakota State last weekend in Brookings, South Dakota. A return home treated number 17 Illinois State well against Northern Iowa as the Redbirds scored 14 first-quarter points and never looked back in a 31-16 victory over the Panthers last Saturday. The Redbirds offense racked up 430 yards of total offense in a balanced effort that featured 202 yards rushing and 228 yards passing. Game time is Saturday is noon Central Time. The Bears have won 5 of 6, including 3 of 4 since their bye, to jump into the playoff race in Johnson's first season. The last thing they need is a letdown against the struggling New York Giants after winning one of the wildest games in recent memory last weekend in Cincinnati. The Bears trail NFC North leader Green Bay by 1 game in the loss column and are tied with Detroit, which pounded Chicago in Week 2. The Giants have dropped 3 straight and are last in the NFC East. They're coming off a 34-24 loss to San Francisco that was worse than the score indicated and put more heat on Coach Brian Daboll and General Manager Joe Schoen. The Bears' wins are against teams that are a combined 12-31-1. Dallas, Las Vegas, Washington, New Orleans, and Cincinnati all have losing records, and the Raiders and Saints are last in their divisions. The Bears visit Minnesota in Week 11 and then play 3 straight against current division leaders. They have a home game against Pittsburgh, followed by trips to defending Super Bowl champion Philadelphia and to Green Bay. The former number 1 overall draft pick's competition rate is down a full point at 61.5%, and even on completed passes, his ball placement is often not where the Bears would like it. But he is taking fewer sacks with 14 so far after leading the league with a franchise record of 68 last season. He's also coming off a milestone performance for a quarterback. Williams threw for 280 yards and 3 touchdowns while running for 53 yards last week, and he became the first quarterback in nearly 82 years with multiple receptions in a game. He caught 2 passes for 22 yards and a touchdown. After going off for a 283 yards rushing against Cincinnati, the highest total in the NFL this season, the Bears could be in for another big game on the ground as they face one of the league's worst run defenses for the second straight week. Rookie Kyle Monangai broke out against the Bengals, rushing for 176 yards on 26 attempts, with veteran DeAndre Swift sidelined by a groin injury. Swift had been on a roll before being held to 45 yards in a loss at Baltimore in Week 8. The former Pro Bowler, who had returned to practice on Wednesday, ran for a combined 232 yards and a touchdown in wins over Washington and New Orleans. The Giants, meanwhile, got run over by defending champion Philadelphia 2 weeks ago to the tune of 276 yards. They also could not stop San Francisco on the ground. The 49ers rushed 39 times for 159 yards and have the second worst run defense in the league. Giants rookie quarterback Jackson Dart has taken his fair share of hits through his first 6 starts. He was sad to see Washington's Jaden Daniels dislocate his left elbow trying to make a play late in a blowout loss to Seattle, but Dart does not plan on that injury changing his approach. The Bears added some potential pass rush help prior to the trade deadline, acquiring Joe Tryon-Shoyinka from Cleveland after losing defensive end Dio Odengbo to a season-ending Achilles tendon injury. Tryon-Shoyinka didn't play much in his lone season with Cleveland and never really lived up to expectations in 4 seasons with Tampa Bay after being drafted in the first round in 2021. He has 15 sacks, all with the Buccaneers. Get sports anytime at DeWittDailyNews.com.
Shane Steinberg here from Highway 51 Exchange, your equipment rental headquarters, south of Clinton on US 51. Check our banner ad on DeWittDailyNews.com to book online today and pick up tomorrow. Highway 51 Exchange.
Longview Community Bank is now open in Clinton, investing in rural Illinois. I'm Vice President Nate Sams. Stop by for a visit or to find out how we provide real local banking. Click our banner ad at the top of the local news page on DeWittDailyNews.com.
From the Hart Media Group newsroom and DeWittDailyNews.com, I'm Ben Hubbard with this local news update. Financial struggles can often stop someone from pursuing further education or certifications that can help them in their career. Silas Taki with Community Action indicates that through the Hand Up Project, a program geared towards helping people reach their goals and overcome obstacles, people can get scholarships to further their education, whether it's a 4-year university or a trades program.
We can help people with building resumes, getting them onto job sites and getting their resumes linked to those sites so that they can easily apply. Then we also have scholarship opportunities. So if you're being held back from a job because you don't have a GED or you don't have the right